Packers on the Rocks fans, welcome to your what I think is week 14. I'm starting to lose track of the weeks, but welcome to your week 14 recap of Monday Night Football. The Packers playing in MetLife Stadium against the New York Football Giants. Coming into this one, we were very hopeful that the streak would remain alive of Matt LaFleur being undefeated in the month of December. Turns out this youthful team had came back down to reality, and we got ourselves into a dogfight there against the Giants and a backup quarterback. So, what better way to open up the tab than having to recount or rehash what transpired last night? Cheers, Dave.
Yeah, I don't even have a drink on me. I feel as good as the Packers looked yesterday. I actually just recorded the game. I felt awful yesterday, so I fell asleep around kickoff time, and then I did a watch when I woke up at about 5 o'clock this morning. Um, it was not a fun morning watch, but at least I was able to fast forward through commercials, and it ended a lot quicker for me than the people watching it live.
I had thoughts to myself. I think it was in the third quarter of, can we just please escape this game with a win? I know it's really ugly. We're being extra sloppy Joes over here. I'm like, but whatever we can do, let's just somehow eke our way out with a dub. And Matt LaFleur said this was the best week of practice they've had all season long, or at least there was one practice that's the best they've looked. And to Aaron Rodgers' point, for many years, he's like, just because you can have a good week of practice doesn't mean that it'll show on the field.
Yeah, I'm not. I guess where would you like to start here? I kind of want to start with defense because I felt like the defense kind of did what they always do, right? Like they kept us in the game for most of the game when the offense was sputtering and the special teams was atrocious, and then when you needed them to make a stop or come up with a play, they just couldn't do it. Like I know there's a lot of griping about the defense, especially the last drive. Barry just played prevent when a field goal beats you, and they just marched right down the field. Obviously, we were expecting a lot of sacks in this game. They let DeVito run for 70 plus yards. They didn't get any sacks on him. There was no pass rush disciplined. Um, and then they ran for over 200 yards for the fourth time this year.
It looked like a combination of our defense against the Steelers and defense against the Chargers, and we didn't learn our lesson from either of those two. Getting hit in the running game, thank God that Saquon Barkley coughed up that ball there late on his own violation. But yeah, whether it was the run plays by Barkley and not containing the edge, or we got what are they calling him? Tommy Chicklets or something like
Yeah.
that. Chitlets. We got him picking up first downs with his legs like Justin Herbert did a few weeks back. Like, I don't even really know what the bright side of this defense was. Keyshawn Nixon, this could have been his worst game as a defender for the Packers, and he owned up to it
Mm-hmm.
later, saying that he played like dog crap. Like, I don't really know where the good is in this. Like, did our defensive pass rush like get too eager with this one and just licking their chops, and they're like, all right, we're not going to have any discipline, and knowing that DeVito can be able to step up and pick up some first downs with his legs. Like, there was nobody there waiting for him in the middle of the pocket when they were
Mm-hmm.
trying to get upfield.
Yeah, and we missed Quay this week big time because it seemed like the middle of the field just parted open on the pass rushing lanes every single time. He just stepped up into the pocket and ran it right up the middle. This team kind of reverted back. This was one of those like October games, right, where we're just the offense sputtered the entire first half. We weren't down all that much, but by the time the offense did start going in the second half, the defense just completely caved. So, and then Nixon with the crucial mistake of you muff the punt, just live to fight another day, fall on it, but he tries to scoop it up and the ball sputters out of his hand again. So this was a battle of who wanted to give away the game more, especially with Saquon fumbling it by himself late in the game, giving us a chance. I guess you could say the only bright side of the game was the offense being able to march down the field when they had to and got a score. And then it was very much 0-8, right? Rodgers leads you down the field, you score, and the defense gives it right back up to end the game.
Maybe the bright spot is that people are once again coming after Joe Barry's neck in this one. That's what all I saw on social media here today. And there was even a stat saying that in the past 13 games, the Packers now have four of those games that we've given up over 200 yards on the ground. So there's some numbers to be able to back it up. And here's a name, Al Harris, with how much
Yeah.
praise he's getting there for the Cowboys. Wouldn't that be something to have him be the new defensive coordinator? And it just still blows my mind that as bad as it looks through the eye test, like we've only given up like less than right around 24 points, 19 to 24 all season long outside of the Lions. Like I don't understand how we can still keep teams under 30 and play the way that we have. And fortunately, we're playing against these low tier quarterbacks. Otherwise, I saw a few plays that were left out there in the field that could have been much worse for this Packers defense.
Yeah, I think the only thing that Barry can really hang his hat on is the points per game right now. Because you look at this defense, whether it's scheme wise, discipline wise, pretty much every other metric that you want to look at, it's not getting it done. Creating turnover worthy plays, all that stuff. It's been the same way for 3 years. Whether it's kind of been, there's been no improvement, right? It's just been either static or slight decline. Then you get little, bumps up where you do play a team where the pass rush is clicking or something like that, and it's like, oh, maybe this is working really well, but then you revert back to it 3 games later of, yeah, you need to be out of there.
Dave, there was one play, and there's at least probably three or four of them on offense. I'm like, yep, it's just not our night. There's a play on defense that TJ Slayton
Yes.
bolted through the line, was ready to take down the running back, and I'm like, holy shit, did he shoot through that gap? And sure enough, he misses the running back, and I think they pick up 7 yards on the play.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, great. One time that a defensive tackle gets in the backfield to stop a running play, and there they are just evading our grasp.
Yeah, and then offensively, Christian Watson being out, this game, it seems evident how much he actually hurts our offense being out. Like, I know sometimes the stats don't back up and he makes the drops, but he's really a field stretcher. He changes the dynamic of this offense so much. And it was really clear in this game that they miss Watson being able to run those vertical routes to open up the crossers and what they want to do on offense. And it seems like a lot of those jet sweeps, which we got tired of, was a way of trying to create big plays with just getting Jaden Reed the ball in his hands. And then after the first two times they ran it, they just started snuffing them out.
Did that take away like a third of Matt LaFleur's playbook by having
Yeah.
Christian Watson out? There was two drives there in the fourth quarter that got stalled out because of those Jaden Reed end around jet sweeps that the Giants were ready for. We're getting into the red zone, or one time we were at the 25 with like a 2nd and 5, and here we are with like a 5 yard loss to get us behind the sticks and basically ruin the drive. I'm like, half his playbook, or a third or half his playbook must have been taken away with Christian Watson out, and then he's just going to continue to press the play call on Jaden Reed behind the line of scrimmage, which was a total of 7 plays for that. Whatever happened to using Jaden Reed in moderation if you're going to have him be the Swervin Irvin type? Like, we've talked about it weeks ago that we love these play calls and they work, but the guy weighs less than 200 pounds. Like, he doesn't have the body to be able to withstand that punishment.
Yeah, and unfortunately he's in the concussion protocol now with the 2-point conversion play. He got whacked pretty good. Wicks it seems like has a high ankle, so we're down more playmakers going into next week. We got lucky last week with a clean game. Seems like we got pretty nicked up in this one as well.
What do you think it was for Love throwing the football on Monday night? Like, to me, like when I watched it live and even through the rewatch, the ball came off as hand kind of funny all night.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was within the first few, like sort of, it was the Romeo Dobbs quick out that he should have hit, Dontavian Wicks for like a 5 yard out route, and then even one to AJ Dillon. The ball seemed to get away from him. Didn't have that night tight spiral. But I mean, what were your thoughts when you had to watch it back through on Love's inaccuracy from the first quarter all the way up until what about the fourth quarter, and then he
Yeah.
finally was clicking and didn't have these sort of errant throws?
They on the broadcast kept mentioning that it was windy and cold and wet there, but DeVito seemed to be having that tight spiral and getting it out, and his throws weren't that erratic. I think it's mainly the pass rush. I think there's guys in his lap a lot. I think he had kind of a little bit of happy feet going on. He didn't seem like he had a solid base when he was throwing. Just a little antsy about where to get the ball to, and maybe last second decisions where he wasn't as decisive because the ball was coming out high a lot of the times, and even the one where Wicks ran that deep comeback that we saw against the Chiefs, that first play that he hit on Watson. He threw it like 2 yards to the left of him, and it could have been an easy pick by the safety.
Are you stealing my, like, are you like somehow copying my notes here when I jot them down on my phone? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Love 2 or 3 yards off on that play. It's kind of been the MO for the entire night. That's why I thought, I'm like, is the ball coming off his hand really weird? Is the wind a factor? I have a conspiracy to bring up when we get to teens, but yeah, I could tell early on. I'm like, this might not be one of our
Yeah.
nights here for Love, and don't cancel, don't crown him, and fully show the some of those growing pains back from October.
And then Patrick Taylor's been running hard, but second week in a row, man, get out of bounds. And LaFleur kind of even had it with him on the sideline of like, what are you doing, man? And you can tell by Taylor's reaction, like, oh man, I just completely had a brain fart on that one. But I think with Taylor, it's something like I've been on the practice squad for so long. I've been cut by this team so many times. This is my chance with no Aaron Jones, and they don't have a true number two right now. I need to get every yard that I can and run through someone, but it's also situational awareness.
Well, he's about to get Ty Montgomery if he does it for a third consecutive game. We'll put Kenyon Drake in there. It doesn't matter if he's not going to get out of bounds for the second straight game. And I will say, too, as a defense, and that was, yeah, such just a head scratcher of a move. I thought he did better in the second half of hitting holes than AJ
Mm.
Dillon did and picking up some yards. There with it, running game was great by him when he did have to spell Dillon, and Dillon did have that amazing catch where he broke 3 tackles, the trifecta of the juke, the stiff arm, and then the truck stick before heading out of bounds. But yeah, PT, what are we doing there, man? That's like a come on, man type moment.
Yeah. The one bright spot for this offense was Tucker Craft.
So coming up tomorrow when I do the clip of the Packers on the Rocks player of the game, I had a tough time coming up with one, but I'm like, I think Tucker Kraft
Mm-hmm.
gets the nod this week for player of the game. The huge 40-yard catch. He had a few other ones. I'd have to take a look to see how much help he was in the run game, but he came out with a statement earlier this week about taking down defenders and how much enjoyment he gets from it. Like you can just tell when he gets the ball, he's seeking out contact.
Yep. Yep. Other than that, how else did you see kind of the offense? I know it was really slow going. I know all that stuff, but did you have any other notes with the offense that kind of popped out at you?
Only other thing besides that, and this is a game ball or credit to my boy Malik Heath.
Mm.
He had what should have been his first NFL touchdown, got knocked out of his hands there when he was trying to take that third step in the football move, and then the very next play, and it's truly a spectacular catch when you go back and look at it. The way
Yeah.
the ball's coming over his helmet, it's almost like a basket catch over the shoulder. Doesn't have great vision on it. He should have turned his hands over, but he kept them like this and was still able to bring it in. And not an easy catch by him, and then he has to keep it over the pylon as well. I thought that was going to be enough to get us the win, and the defense was gonna stop the DeVito offense. That's another bright spot in the game, Dave, is that it's been the Broncos game, the Steelers game, and the Raiders that we've had these opportunities late in it to drive down the field and to cash in for a touchdown and win the game. And Love delivered this time. Yes, I know it was a short field, but he answered the bell on this one, cashing in for the touchdown, but our defense couldn't hold up their end of the bargain.
And now our favorite segment, as always, teams.
What did they come out with a statistic saying we're the most penalized special teams in the NFL, and we just added a few more to it
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah, there's some fun ones there. We had the short punt that Rudy Ford just ran right into the punt returner. Can't go a stretch long enough with Carlson without missing one. And then, Carlson missed one, Rudy Ford, and then Nixon, of course, with the fumble. I think we're like 29th in total special teams. I think we're ranked 29th as a unit. So not even Rich Bisaccia making all that money coming in, supposed to be the guru, can fix this this unit.
We're cursed, I tell you. We're cursed. We're doomed. It doesn't matter who you bring in there. And here's my conspiracy, Dave. Go back and watch the clip. The Keyshawn Nixon muffed punt. That ball looks completely different than the one that they played with throughout the rest of the game. I am convinced at this moment that they dunked the ball in water and they soaked it. Look how shiny that thing is, how much it's moving around after it hits them, and it's bouncing off of like 3 or 4 different players. That ball looked pretty damn wet to me, and I'm like, even the shade of brown compared to what they were using during the offense and the defensive plays, or I guess I should just say when both teams are on offense, look different. I know that the special teams does use different balls. So my conspiracy is that ball was dunked prior to Keyshawn Nixon getting his hands on it.
I will have to look into that for you.
He didn't say anything, so there must not be too much truth to it. But that thing was like bright brown, and after it came off him and it bounced around all funky, I'm like, that ball looks kind of wet intentionally.
All right, all right. You got anything else for us?
Oof. Just one to forget about. I mean, I had an eerie feeling going into this one that we
Yeah.
were going to get brought back down to reality, and it was a matter of, hey, is our defense learning its lessons from prior games and knowing how to be able to stop the run? And is our youth going to come back down to reality? And this is going to be one that we should win, but we don't. And now we have 4 games to go, and we need, what, at least 3 of them to get into the playoffs? And I'm almost at this point expecting that we'll most likely split them and have the same record as last year.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, I know it's kind of waves of emotion with this team this year. And you want to see what it is going to be like when the team was running high like they were. They beat 3 really good opponents that I don't think anyone really expected us to even have a fighting chance against. And then they've been getting beat up by teams that are around or less than their talent level than that we've been expecting them to win. And that's just kind of how I think we expected this season to go a little bit. You would win 1 or 2 games against teams that we didn't think we would win against, and then we would also get either the doors blown off by us by a couple of teams, and then have some lesser teams beat us. So we're kind of right on track. I know Packer fans get really excited, especially when we threw ourselves into a playoff hunt that I don't think anyone expected us to be in, and then you lose a game like this the way you lost it, it's really disheartening. But it's all part of the process with this young, growing team. They're growing together. There's going to be games like this. It's kind of, okay, we got to learn from it, and it's building blocks for the next year or two to come. It would be phenomenal if they made the playoffs this year, but I don't think this is a Super Bowl team. So this is just kind of building up the talent, building up the confidence, making a run when it matters.
It's showing our true colors. Maybe we got a little bit too far ahead of ourselves after that 3-game winning streak, and win-loss record's about to shake out to as we expected. It's just coming in a little bit of a different format in the games that we're winning and the games that we are losing.
Right.
Dave, do you want to go on record as far as saying how you expect these next 4 to go with our win-loss record and whether we get in the dance?
I would love 3-1. I don't know about it though. We got Tampa, then we got Carolina, Minnesota, and the Bears. I mean, it could honestly be anywhere between 3-1 and 1-3. I think Tampa's going to be your a tougher game than people expect. Carolina should be your win that you mark on the calendar, and then division opponents are going to be tricky. I mean, Vikings I know are right in the playoff race as well, and then the Bears are playing much better.
Bears just knocked off the Lions convincingly, like we did on Thanksgiving Day. They're playing a lot better football, and this should be a completely different matchup than what we had in Week 1 against the Bears. That's weeks out from now. We still have to concentrate on the game that lies ahead in
Mm-hmm.
Buccaneers. And I look out my window here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and extremely hopeful that we have a snow game in the works here for this Sunday against the Bucks. But that pretty much does it on a sloppy Joe clunker of a game against the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, my hunch is we go 2-2 and we miss it. That's
I'm
just
I,
my hunch.
I'm right there with you, and I couldn't tell you which games we're going to win or which games we're going to lose.
Right.
That's probably the synopsis of the season too. Hey, we'll tell you that we'll go 2-2, but we couldn't tell you which two it's going to
Yeah,
be.
right. But all right, Jordan, as always, it's a pleasure. Yeah, it wasn't the outcome or even the performance that we wanted to see out of it. But LaFleur has a tendency to get this team back on track after kind of games like this. So we're going to need, hopefully, a star player or two to come back for this stretch, whether it's Jair or Aaron Jones. We need one more difference maker on this team that has been nicked up to come back into the fold here.
Otherwise, they're going to be calling our guest last night, Miles White, to lace him up one more time on Sunday. And Dave, he did send you his best that you weren't able to make it last night. It was a great conversation with the former wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. I asked him to compare New York City and Green Bay, and he said Green Bay takes the cake,
Okay.
far exceeding anything in New York with true Super Bowl aspirations and what it was like walking in that building every day. So it's pretty cool interview to have.
Nice, man. Glad you got to experience that. We'll do the preview for the Bucks later in the week here, and yeah, hopefully better outcome performance this Sunday.
It's up to you, LaFleur. All right, Dave. Well, hey, feel better, man. Rest up. Quick turnaround this week.
All
So
right,
we got to be back in the saddle before we know it.
all right, man. Enjoy the week.
We'll do.